welcome to another crafty video. In today's one I'm going to be using the Papercuts 3D embossing folder Rose Garden with the companion stencils. If you haven't seen these, they're a really cool concept from Creative Expressions, and these folders are like so gorgeously sculpted when you actually emboss them. It's amazing, the kind of like the depth and the different layers of the different elements that are on here as well. I'll show you it up close when I have embossed it as well. But they've also come out with companion stencils with the Papercuts range. They I think I did a video on it. They came out with companion stencils to go with their die cuts, with their cut and lifts that had like lifting portions to the dies, and you could have a stencil that would allow you to colour those much easier. But they've now brought out the version with an embossing folder rather than with a die. So there are 4 of these in the collection. I originally made about 16 samples with these when they first came out, but obviously I didn't film any of them because I was on a short timeline with them, or I just wasn't in the mood to film. Yeah, I'm really sorry that there hasn't been that many videos recently. I've just been in one of those, you know, when you're just like, you've got so many ideas in your head, you just cannot start whichever ones you want to do. So I've literally just been focusing on the things that I have to do, like with deadlines and stuff, and just been making everything off camera. But yeah, I've got so many things in my head that I want to turn into videos. I've got hundreds of ideas for my experiments videos. I want to start doing some Christmas and Halloween ones already, and hopefully there's going to be lots of videos coming. I'm taking this weekend to film a few, and I'm hoping it's going to sort of break through whatever it is in my brain that's making me stop actually getting on with stuff. So for this card, I'm actually recreating one of the ones that I made as a sample. I'm not sure if it was one that Creative Expressions shared or whether it was one that went to Stacey for scrapbooking made simple. You might have seen it on either of their social medias, I'm not sure. But it's using the Rose Garden one and a bunch of different distress inks. I don't know if these were the same colours that I used, but I'm going with these ones for this version of it. I'm going to go with Squeezed Lemonade and Wild Honey for the yellowy sort of sections. Might bring in a couple of others if I feel like I need something darker. I'm going with Saltwater Taffy and Abandoned Coral for the pink roses. Then I'm going with Shaded Lilac and Wilted Violet for the sort of these kind of trumpety sort of things, and also some of the smaller flowers I'm going to use that for as well. And then for the foliage I'm going with Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn, and for some extra added detail over the top I'm going to use a little bit of Gilded Touch, and this one is the Enchanted Gold colour, which is so pretty. You can also get Enchanted Gold in a gilding polish, which come in the jars that look like this. Obviously it would be this colour, but you can get this version of this if you want. These are basically the same thing, but this is just a more handy applicator. You can have more of them in a smaller space as well, which is quite nice. So I'm going to use that to add detail. And with these cards, it was around the time that this set came out. This was a tailor-made journal set that's just full of beautiful ledger stamps. And the way I started off these cards, instead of just embossing the card first, I stamped with some pumice stone Distress Oxide some of these gorgeous ledgers in the background, and then I embossed it and did the stenciling. So you can see a beautiful ledger detail behind the floral elements, and I really like the look of that. So I'm going to recreate that in this video too. So I'll tell you what brushes I'm using as well. I've got my little pot of brushes here. I'm probably going to mostly just use these little white brushes, which I got off Amazon years ago. I have linked to them when people have asked, so I'll try and remember to put the link to those as well. But also these kind of ones work nicely. I got these on Amazon too, or Lisa Horton did some similar to these as well that were white. I've got one of hers in this other pot here, so you can use those sorts of ones. You can use any of the Nouveau precision blending ones, or I've also got a few of the skinny mini brushes from Jane Davenport as well, which I have used for other things. I don't have enough to have one for each colour, so I've kind of just used them sporadically for random bits and pieces, but I do really love these tiny little brushes, and I even have a couple that don't have any colour on them yet, but you can see they've been well loved with lots of different colours on there, so I'm going to use those if you're interested in that as well. And I think I'm probably just going to speed up the rest of the video. I might come back at the end and explain what wording I'm going to put on it and stuff like that, but I think I'm going to mostly speed it up. So hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so I finished all of the stenciling on here. Doesn't it look absolutely fantastic? Obviously all the flowers are on the same level, so in some cases you get sort of merging of colours, but I don't think it matters really that like the yellow's merging into the pink or the yellow's merging into the purple. It still looks fantastic, and it's so much easier to do than if you didn't have the stencils. You know, if you were trying to ink blend all of that in, it would take much longer. I finished it off with some of that Enchanted Gold Gilded touch over the top, just like you would with a normal embossing folder, and then I've also watered a little bit of it down and splattered it onto there as well. And one other thing that you'll have noticed in the sped up footage, I did also take my fine little Arteza paintbrush that I'm always using and a little bit of the Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn, and I painted in some of those stems and a few of the leaves that are in the background, because obviously they can't give you absolutely everything on a stencil. There's always tiny little bits within one of the designs that can't be done with a stencil because it's such a fine detail. It'd probably be offset and not register, and then you'd get annoyed that it wasn't registered. So just a fine tiny little paintbrush will work really nicely. Or perhaps if you have because we're using sort of like water-based sort of products, if you have a water-based pen, a light green, you could just trace over the stem. If you don't mind mixing products, you could use a little bit of a light green Copic and just carefully draw along the stem. But with a tiny little paintbrush, if you can get any of these tiny little ones, I think they do still sell them, Arteza. If I can find them on Amazon, I'll link them. But yeah, they're so brilliant for just doing tiny, fine little details just to finish off the colour. Oh, it's not focusing. Just to finish off the colour on those little stem areas. And you can see it's not perfect, but it just fills in that kind of effect and sort of just completes it all, I think. So now that is all dry, we want to add it to our card blank, which is just a square one that I cut down. I like to buy square card blanks. I know it seems weird that I always make this size of a card, but I buy square card blanks. It's because you can turn a square one into a top folding, or you can turn it into a side folding depending on what you want. You can just trim it down, which is why I like to do that. But you know, however you sort of make your card blanks. Then I'm just using some of the Craft Perfect tissue tape, because I find that this is the best double-sided tape that I've tried really. It's really easy to get the backing off of. You're not sitting there for ages struggling with it. You can just get the end of a pair of scissors underneath it and just pull, and pull your whole background with it. But you can just pull it off really, really easily. It's just my favourite tape. So just make sure any overhanging bits are underneath and that we've got it up I mean, there's not necessarily a right way with this folder, but I'm doing it up the same way that it is in here. But you can also make this design landscape. A lot of them you can turn landscape as well, or if you wanted a landscape card, you could just you know, emboss a portrait portion onto the landscape card if you wanted to as well, because the designs are kind of organic at the edge. They've got sort of like the design doesn't just stop, it's like finished with a leaf or a flower or a berry or something. So you can do that as well. But I'm just doing this card for now because it was one of my favourite samples that I had made. So stick that on there, and then for the wordies, the original I put "This means a lot to me" on it. I'm looking at a photo of it in case you wondered how I was replicating it. But I was thinking a nice birthday one on this one. So we don't want something too long. Oh, well, this is in the birthday set, but it's a different sentiment, sending you lots of love. So we could do sending you lots of love, or we could do happy belated birthday. I might do that one because I've been really rubbish at remembering people's birthdays recently. So let's go with happy belated birthday. And I just use my Tonic guillotine to trim this down. You kind of know exactly where your guillotine cuts when you've had one for a while. You kind of know exactly. So if I know with this little, you can't really see it from the camera, but this little clear plastic guide here, I know if I line it up in a certain place, then I know where the blade is cutting compared to that certain place. And then saying that, I've done it off from where I normally cut it. But you know what I mean. You know, you have ways of lining things up in your trimmer to get them to cut exactly where you think that they're going to cut. So I think happy belated birthday, I'm just going to trim that out. And I think put it just there. That's where I put the thank you sentiment on the original card. So I'm just going to do it like that. And then I think use a little bit of low profile foam tape and just cut a little sliver and place that on the back and snip off the excess piece. And then I don't think it needs anything else. Sometimes I would think gems or sequins on here, but I think that is perfect just the way it is. So that's a really quick and simple card using the gorgeous Creative Expressions Papercuts 3D embossing folders, and this one was the Rose Garden with the companion stencils, and I was also using the birthday set of sentiments from Wordies, which is the number 1. So CEW001 if you're looking for it on their website, because Creative Expressions do sell from their website now. Which is great, so you can actually get hold of all of the products directly from them. I think they only post to the UK at the moment. I don't know if they're going to look into international, but international places, scrapbook.com is really good for getting Creative Expression stuff from international places. So I will have links in the description to where you can get all of these products and bits and pieces from as well. So really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this will be the start of lots more videos to come, because I hopefully will stop being lazy and actually film some videos. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!